Hey there everyone, Nubkeks here. We're currently just sitting in Nazjatar, but it is more exciting than that because we are, as you can see, on the patch 8.3 public test realm here for Battle for Azeroth. And in this video I'm going to be looking over just the rank 1 new essences that are going to be coming in that patch. I'm just on a Demon Hunter alt right now to show you the tank essences, and then I'll jump onto my main, which is a priest, to show you the damage and healer essences. So we've got two new ones for tank. We have Strength of the Warden and Touch of the Everlasting. So first up, we have Strength of the Warden. Its active power lets you taunt all nearby enemies, forcing them to attack you for 6 seconds, and that's on a 2-minute cooldown. And then the minor power, every 2 seconds you store 1.8k healing, and again, of course, this will scale with your heart level and such, up to a maximum of 23,000. When you dodge or parry an attack, heal for all stored healing. So this will obviously have some pretty interesting interactions with different particular specs. Of course, demon spikes, a demon hunter tank, active mitigation increases your parry chance, brewmaster monks have lots of dodge, etc, etc. So there are different abilities which will interact with this in terms of proccing that healing. It doesn't seem that exciting to me initially, the minor power, and the major power is quite interesting in terms of kind of a bit of control in Mythic Plus. We'll see if it's good or not. To just give you some insight, when you do get this up into rank 3, Strength of the Warden, what you're looking at, the minor power, I think it's just going to increase the amount of health that you are going to heal, so nothing too exciting there. And then the major power will increase your dodge chance by 15% for 6 seconds, and additionally, targets affected by Vigilant Protector, which is the active effect, will take 50% additional damage from you specifically. So just to recap, at rank 3, or rank 4, the legendary rank, when you proc this, it will taunt everyone nearby, all enemies nearby, for 6 seconds, increase your dodge chance, and then make you, specifically you, do 50% more damage against all those things. So again, maybe it could have some niche uses for, you know, AoE taunting and tanking and nuking down some packs, or perhaps some ads on some of the raid fights. We'll have to see. Not the most overwhelming one, in my opinion, but there you go. We'll see exactly what the tuning turns out to be. Next up, we have Touch of the Everlasting. The major power here, called Touch of the Everlasting, is your next death is prevented, and you instead regenerate to 20% of your maximum health and take 85% reduced damage for 3 seconds. Cannot occur more than once per 10 minutes. The minor power is called Will to Survive. When you fall below 35% health, you gain 262 avoidance for 15 seconds. And your next active mitigation will last 30% longer. This can only occur once every 1.5 minutes. Now, off the top of my head, I'm not actually too certain what the length of the active mitigation for different classes is, or how frequently they have it up, but that passive benefit of increasing your active mitigation could be more useful for certain specs, and would certainly have some use on, let's say, a fight like Orgazoa, for example, where when the tank taunts to take the boss hits extremely hard, but then starts hitting the tank for less and less damage over time. Pretty easy to fall below 35% health on the first couple of hits, and that would be kind of nice to get the avoidance bonus and then have your active mitigation last a little bit longer during that dangerous time. So it could be a decent minor power in those sort of niche circumstances. Again, I would also feel like this is kind of a niche essence to grab. Getting a cheat death effect could again be quite nifty for certain tank specs that wouldn't be too reliant on. I mean, my initial thought is immediately jumps to the Brewmaster Monk. Oh god, oh no, who tend to run, I think, DPS essences in their major, like the Crucible of Flames. Give them a cheat death effect as well, just to make sure that they'll never ever die. If I go and I grab very quickly, yes, here we go. Okay, so going up to rank 3 of Touch of the Everlasting, it's going to give you avoidance. Your active mitigation will last longer. It can occur once every 60 seconds. Okay, so wow, that gets significantly more. Sorry, no, that's the minor. Excuse me. The minor would occur once every 60 seconds. So instead of once every 1.5 minutes, once every 1 minute. Definitely makes that a bit more useful for sure. Kind of interesting. And the major power, sorry, let me get the major power, which is the Touch, which is the cheat death effect. So this will heal you for more of your health, up to 40% of your maximum health at top rank. Oh, and then this is quite interesting. Now, what it says, and I believe this is for warriors specifically, on top of what it's already doing, it would restore you to 40% max health, and you take the 85% reduced damage for 3 seconds. It would also reset the cooldown of Shield Wall, apparently, and perhaps it would do something similar with the cooldowns for other, in fact, you would assume so, for other tanks. So that could actually be pretty decent at giving you your major cooldown back, just really making tank death a non-issue in those kind of specifically tank bursty fights. So that's pretty cool. Okay, let's jump over to my priest and take a quick look at the other types of essences. We'll start with healers, then we'll do DPS, because we'll leave the best to last, shall we? We'll leave the best to last. Allegedly. Alright. Actually, one thing to mention here as we jump in as well, I've got no hotkeys bound, but in terms of your heart level, we do have new slots. So, of course, the maximum you can get now is to heart level 70. I've been lazy, not got there yet, but that would cut off about here on live. So you could get this Perseverance node on live. There's going to be a new Perseverance node at heart 75. Then there's going to be a new minor slot at heart 80. And then finally another Perseverance slot at 83. And then presumably the heart will cap at maybe 85, maybe 90, I guess. I don't exactly know. I think Blizzard said in their preview, obviously I don't have it unlocked, so I can't tell you quite yet, but they said in their preview that it would only be the new essences that could go into this minor slot. But then at the same time that they said that, the screenshot they showed, I believe they had Blood of the Enemy. No, they had Purification Protocol in that slot. So I'm not exactly 100% sure. There is some potential that you will have to have at least one of your essences be one of the new ones. But that's not, I think, yeah, it's not 100% confirmed yet. Can't tell you super much for sure. All right, let's look at the healer essences first. First off, we have Spirit of Preservation. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so 1 minute cooldown. Channel a beam of energy onto an ally, healing them for a lot, for 171,000 over 2.4 seconds. So that's a very, very significant single target heal on quite a low cooldown, really, with a 40-yard range. So a very, very long range. And just to cover the major effect right now, because this is where things get very interesting at rank 3 specifically. Okay, I think the healing might increase slightly as well. However, other allies in the beam are going to be healed for a portion of it as well. A much smaller portion, it looks like. So maybe it will heal them for, I'm not sure exactly how much, maybe 20,000, maybe 30,000, but still probably a fairly noticeable amount. So that will certainly add some pretty interesting gameplay in the sense of, you know, lighting up in a proper way. In a very stacked fight, you could potentially churn out an absolutely monumental amount of healing, again, on a pretty short cooldown. So that's pretty damn cool, I think. That's pretty damn cool. So there you go. Then we also have Devout Spirit. Oh, also, there's one other effect here, actually, that I missed, is that each time, I believe it's each time the beam heals somebody, heals the primary target, it's going to give you a stack of the passive as well. So that's another effect that comes at later ranks. Sorry. So whenever the beam heals your primary target, the target you put the beam onto, it'll also give you a stack of the passive. And the passive, speaking of, is Devout Spirit. Every 5 seconds, gain Saving Vigil, causing your next quick heal to heal for an additional 1.3k, stacking up to 3 times. So your quick heal, presumably, you know, like Flash Heal, Vivify, that sort of thing, those small little fast heals. So that's kind of nice as well. Just kind of passively gaining it. And then I believe it's when the beam heals. Not 100% sure. I believe that's what it is. And when that gets up to rank 3, Devout Spirit, it will stack up to 5 times. So it'll stack even more. So you kind of bank it up. Quite useful for, I'd say for M+, you know, on certain specs. So for example, me playing as a priest compared to, let's say, playing as a monk, have significantly less, you know, sustained burst single target healing. So in fights where tanks can get burst pretty hard, as a disciplined priest, for example, in the number of ways that you can heal the tank without using very large cooldowns is quite low. So something like this could actually be pretty nice for that, being able to bank up a nice extra chunk on your heal. Could be pretty cool. And each stack of the each stack that you consume with that quick heal will also increase the critical strike chance of your next quick heal by 20% within 6 seconds for each stack. So if you have up to 5 stacks, you're going to have a 100% crit chance on your next quick heal within 6 seconds. if you consume all 5 of those on the one heal. So pretty cool for some extra sort of single target focus. I'm bringing some attention into those sort of single target flash heals, which certainly, I would say certainly in raiding have been very much, I mean, not a focus or not a feature at all with the current Essence system. So there you go. That's Spirit of Preservation. Looking at Unwavering Ward next, and I'm just getting up the info for what it will do at rank 3. Okay, cool. Unwavering Ward. Major powers Guardian Shell, 3-minute cooldown and channeled. Release 12 protective spheres outward over 3.2 seconds. Probably changes with haste. Granting the first ally to touch it a barrier that absorbs 27,000 damage for 10 seconds. Now, I think this is pretty nice, actually, as a major power to add in. Okay, because certainly on higher mythic fights, certainly in Eternal Palace is very bad for this. You had a lot of really high bursty encounters. So, you know, Arcane Currents on Orgazoa is somewhat of an example. The sparks exploding on Queen's Court. Zakul in particular with Dreads expiring. Massive burst damage, which could just one-shot people, potentially without damage reduction. Now what this does is it takes something that's somewhat unique to Discipline Priest, which is the ability to apply actually substantial shields to other players, and it makes this an option for an Essence. So it gives you a way for other healer classes that have no damage reduction effect. So for example, a Holy Priest who has no like significant damage reductions at all to give to their allies, bam, it gives you this, which will fire off 12 spheres, can give up to 12 people in your raid a 27,000 shield for 10 seconds. That's pretty damn cool. What's it do at rank 3? Rank 3, it'll do 12 spheres. Again, over the default cast time is 4 seconds. It increases based off your haste. I have 24% haste right now with this gear, PvP gear. So there you go. Do the barrier. Each time you send out a protective sphere, gain an absorb shield for 2% of your maximum health. When an ally gains the absorb shield, you and the ally heal for about 1,000. Compared to the sphere, which will absorb 5,000. So if we apply it to these values, it's about a fifth. So it will heal you and the ally for maybe about 5,000 whenever they pick up the sphere. That's kind of nice as well. Just help you get topped up for that bursty damage which is incoming. I think that's pretty cool. I mean, it's definitely going to be interesting to see what the gameplay is like of this, in terms of, like, does it send it out in a very random way, or does it, you know, just spin around your character clockwise, slowly releasing the spheres? People moving in to grab the spheres will require some coordination, but I'm pretty excited for this one. I think this is a pretty cool thing. It provides a very good niche for healers, which is providing shielding. And yeah, it has some cool sounding gameplay to it, so I like it a lot. Now, the minor power is Unwavering Ward. Every 10 seconds, allies within 15 yards gain a shield that absorbs 3,500 damage, stacking up to 13,000. So again, you know, really nice. Well, maybe not so nice in Zakul, where you've got ticking damage all the time, for example, so it would just get removed before the burst damage ever comes in. But that's kind of neat. You could stack up again an extra chunk of shield, an extra chunk of absorption. And I believe it doesn't seem to have a limit. It's just all allies within 15 yards. So in a fight where everyone's stacked up, you could potentially be giving 20 people in your mythic raid a shield every 10 seconds, which is, you know, pretty nice. That will definitely add up over time, and it doesn't seem like the shield will expire. It will just keep stacking up and up and up. So that's pretty great. We'll see how it's tuned, of course, but that's, again, pretty exciting. And again, just more sort of max health, essentially, to give to people to deal with burst mechanics. Pretty cool. At rank 3, okay, we'll add that. Targets protect. Oh, this is very cool. Targets protected by Unwavering Ward take 3% reduced damage additionally on top of that. Exactly what I'm saying. Not you know, it's something that Holy Paladins and Disc Priests in particular are bringing to these higher level raids. Is not only are they providing immense amounts of burst healing throughput, but they also provide damage reduction, and Disc Priests provide shielding, which helps deal with very, very bursty raid damage, right? Gives a ton of protection to that. Well, this is fantastic. You know, 3% reduced damage, it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you're getting bursted for 400,000 damage, and you've got 350,000 life, you know, that's like throwing on a power word shield or something, and then having the shield from this giving you 3% damage reduction, it's much easier to get towards actually surviving that amount of damage than it would be otherwise. So I think that's actually pretty exciting. That's a very exciting essence to throw in there to help kind of alleviate some of the healer balance problems that have been happening in higher level raids. So I think that one is very, very cool. Thumbs up from me. So there you go. The healer essences definitely get a big thumbs up. Okay, let's look at the one probably most people are interested in, which are the 3 DPS essences. First up, we've got Breath of the Dying. Rank 1 is a 45-second cooldown, instant cast, 40-yard range, Reaping Flames. Burn your target with a bolt of Azerite, dealing 45,000 fire damage. If the target has less than 20% health, the cooldown is reduced by 30 seconds. That's pretty significant. In comparison, Crucible of Flames at this gear level is going to do 15,000 fire damage, and then burn for 75% of that damage over 6 seconds. And then each cast does 100% bonus damage over the last one. So we'll do 30,000 the second time, plus, you know, let's say it'll do a total of 45,000. And then the next time after that, it will do a total of, what, 60,000 or something? So certainly at higher health numbers, I guess, kind of in that mid-range fight, when they're not in execute range, Crucible of Flame will do more. But this gives you a lot of execute. And again, execute can be extremely valuable in certain fights where the fight gets a lot harder towards the end and you really want that execute damage. It's only 20% health, which is very low. You know, 35% execute, for example, was a pretty relevant thing at the start of Ashvane progression, where you could bring her to 35% health before her shield came back on the third time. And then you could melt that shield with execute bonuses and make it easier to break. But there you go. This is still pretty cool. 30-second cooldown reduction brings that to 15-second cooldown. So throwing out 45,000 fire insta-cast blasts every 15 seconds is pretty damn cool. Let's check out what it does at rank 3, because that's pretty exciting. Breath of the Dying, rank 3. Minor power. No. Give me the major power. Okay. Ooh, if the target... Okay, at rank 3 then, Breath of the Dying, the Reaping Flames ability will change to if the target has less than 20% or more than 80%, the cooldown will be reduced. And additionally, if it kills an enemy, its cooldown is reset, and it will deal 100% increased damage on its next use. So for Mythic Plus, this could definitely have some big effects. It could be very, very strong on a week like Bolstering, for example, where you're not typically doing very large pulls, and you kind of single target focus guys down a little bit more as you can kill them off, and you know they're getting quite strong in that last 20% because of Bolstering. That could be pretty damn cool. So that's a very exciting essence, and again, giving execute options to specs and classes that might not have execute, or really amping up the value of execute classes because they can bring even more execute on top of it. So that is pretty interesting. The minor spells and abilities have a chance to just do fire damage, so very uninspiring. I mean, again, it's pretty much the exact same as Ancient Flame without the dot effect. What's it do at rank 3 for the minor? Okay, so rank 3 of the minor will do damage. It will heal you for half of the damage dealt. If your target is below 20% health, the chance for extra damage is increased by 400%. Okay, well that's quite a large increase. So it's really going to be very, very effective execute damage. So again, I think this is pretty cool. You know, you need to execute damage on a particular boss or particular fight. Like I said, Bolstering Week, I think is a pretty good example for when it might be useful in Mythic Plus. This could be great. By the way, I didn't mention this already, but we've got this extra unique passive aspect. Corruption reduced by 10. I have no idea what that does. One can only assume it's going to be relevant to... Well, certainly, probably the new sort of world content that they were talking about, where you can go into, you know, semi-regularly. You're going to be able to go into this sort of... phased instance content that's either solo or up to 5 players, and you're kind of uncovering story stuff. I imagine it might link into that. Maybe it will link in with the raid and Mythic Plus. I'm not sure, but it's worth noting that it is there, and we'll figure out more about that as we come closer to the release of the patch, or as people data mine and uncover things over the next couple of days, perhaps. Next up, we've got the Spark of Inspiration. Just 2 more essences to go, guys. So rank 1 of this, 1.5 second cast time, 1 minute cooldown. Release a wave of energy from your Heart of Azeroth, increasing the damage all party members within 15 yards deal with Azerite essences by 45% for the next 10 seconds. And everybody's brain just exploded. Everyone's brain just exploded. Needless to say, this is a 1 minute cooldown. Needless to say, I mean, this instantly amplifies the effect of, I mean, something like Purification Protocol, which is previously pretty terrible, suddenly becomes, well, maybe not amazing, but it becomes better. Essence of the Focusing Iris, that does a lot of damage. And again, you could potentially sync that up, or then, like, potentially like the final cast of Crucible of Flames. There's a lot of different options you could do with this, right? There's a lot of different options that you could do with this. That's pretty exciting. Upping the damage dealt by Azeroth Essence, and presumably all the passive effects and just everything will increase. Everything will go up. This seems exceptionally strong. We'll see. I don't know if it would stack, and I don't know how many you'd want to run in your raid, but I mean, it's very conceivable that in a situation where you want to kill something, like, I don't know, the boss has a 20-second vulnerability phase, I think it's quite possible that running at least, well, it's almost definite that at least one person on your raid that doesn't need their major that urgently for damage would take this and just boost up everyone else's damage. And it just helps make the Unbound Force, which I believe did receive some substantial buffs. It helps make Unbound Force more appealing. It helps make Purification Protocol, which lines up with that, more appealing. Focusing Iris, which just does probably the most burst damage of all the essences, more appealing. I mean, Blood of the Enemy does okay damage as well, I guess. Well, apparently right now it doesn't know what it does. Oh, there we go. 27k. It's really not that much. It's more about the crit strike that you get, which wouldn't be affected by Spark of Inspiration. I guess Condensed Life Force would do bonus damage, like the Guardian would probably get boosted up. I believe they also buffed this, by the way. I'm not sure exactly how. Anyway, we won't look at the changed things before this, but yeah, it's pretty exciting. Crucible of Flames, of course, which everyone has, is going to do more damage. If you sync up the third cast, which has 2 stacks of the 100% increased damage, slam that out, like on, imagine 10 people at the same time throwing out the third cast of the Crucible of Flame while buffed by Spark of Inspiration. That's a ton of damage. That's insane. That's really, really good. It's really nice. So there you go. Spark of Inspiration. Pretty exciting. That's only rank 1. That's only rank 1. Okay, what does it do at rank 3, guys? Rank 3. Rank 3 increases the duration to 20 seconds. So at rank 3, it buffs everybody's Azeroth Essence damage by 45% and their speed by a small amount. Speed, whatever. But it buffs it for 20 seconds. Let's be real, like 20 seconds is pretty much as long as a burst phase would be. I mean, that's going to line up with most cooldowns, or about, a lot of cooldowns. Vendetta, I believe, Wings from Rep Paladin, whatever. Lots of cooldowns about 20 seconds long. Pretty standard. And you're going to have essence damage being buffed. Now, that being said, it would certainly make you could throw out 2 charges at least of Crucible of Flames during that, for example. I don't think you get two reduce cooldown things. You get 2 hits of Breath of the Dying of the Reaping Flames, because it'd be a 15-second cooldown. You get 2 of those during a Spark of Inspiration and Execute. That's pretty interesting, huh? Well, there you go. So that's what it does. The minor, did I even talk about the minor yet? I don't think so. I got so excited by the major. Unified Strength. Your spells and abilities have a chance to increase your haste by 153 and reduce the cooldown of your currently slotted major essence by 1 second. Oh, pretty interesting. So just give you some haste. And don't know what the chance is, but slowly making your major essence be ready to be cast again much sooner. So again, I mean, instantly that makes it go, oh wow, imagine Essence the Focusing Iris. I wonder if you could get more cooldown reduction to line it up with Spark of Inspiration. Never mind. It would have to be one of your allies would have. So you'd be running the minor power, and one of your allies would use the major power to sync up with the essence being reduced by that. It's certainly an interesting idea, though. Minor power at rank 3. Chance to increase you and 2 other allies' haste, and reduce the cooldown of you and 2 other allies' currently slotted major essence by presumably 1 second. It's not quite clear there what it is, but that's pretty interesting that you could be spreading this cooldown reduction amongst multiple people. And again, I think this shakes up some of the it certainly shakes up some of the balance in an interesting way. So for example, Condensed Life Force, from a lot of classes, this is the best essence for raiding, because if you got a 3-minute cooldown and this has a 3-minute cooldown, well, the 2 sync up. So obviously getting cooldown reduction on that is not going to be good, because you're just going to be sitting there waiting for your damage cooldown to come back anyway. However, with other ones, like Purification Protocol, you can just throw it as often as you want. Crucible of Flames is obviously a clear one, which is a very strong essence, which again, you can throw out. The more frequently you throw it out, the better. So that's pretty great too. Same with this Breath of the Dying, same with a lot of other things. So that's pretty interesting. Now there you go. Some very cool stuff going on with that. Then finally we have the Formless Void. Major power replica of knowledge. 1.5 second cast, 40-yard range. Replicate the energy in your target's Heart of Azeroth, gaining access to rank 1 and presumably at rank 3 it's rank 3, of their currently slotted major essence for the next 15 seconds. The Formless Void will go on cooldown for 50% longer than the base cooldown of the essence you replicated. Trying to think of what you would use this for. It would be useful, somewhat, let's say on Azara, where, okay, you have like big groups of ads that spawn earlier in the fight. You might want to focus down with focusing Iris. And then you could switch to like a Crucible of Flame for more single target damage later. But the downside of 50% longer, I mean, I feel like in most situations, you're just going to want to use your best major. And you're not really going to want the versatility of switching. I don't know if it's going to be worthwhile. Let's take a look at rank 3. What does rank 3 do? Formless Void, rank 3. Hopefully makes it less punishing. Okay, it does copy rank 3. And you can use it within 15 seconds. And then it will go on cooldown for 30% longer than the base cooldown of the essence that you replicated. Okay, so 30%, that's much more forgiving. It's still relatively long. But it might perhaps still be somewhat useful. I'd be curious, maybe, like, would it still get cooldown reduction off Breath of the Dying? I don't know. If you hit someone who's in execute range, I don't know. But, maybe. Maybe you guys can think up some cool combos with that. Then the passive is called Symbiotic Presence. Each time an ally within 40 yards uses an Azerite essence, gain, a big chunk of intellect for 20 seconds. I wonder if that stacks. I'm not sure. What does rank 3 do? You gain primary stat, and you gain some haste for 20 seconds. The ally who used an Azerite essence also gains haste for 20 seconds. Okay, and then it's also reducing your corruption for whatever that does. Pretty interesting there as well. Okay. That's kind of cool. And again, it gives more value to those shorter cooldown essences, like the Crucible of Flames, like this new one, Breath of the Dying, like Unbound Force, etc. And kind of, it's a semi-nerf in a way to condense Life Force and focusing Iris. Not nerfing them, but buffing everything else up to that level. At least a little bit. I think it's a pretty cool idea. It's a pretty significant buff, and you probably have very high uptime on that. I mean, it all depends on what the tuning is for these essences and what the theory crafters work out and the combinations. Then we're going to have more slots. But there you go, guys. That was a look, actually more in depth than I anticipated, look into the new essences that are going to be coming in this patch. Let me know what you think. I think that they're pretty exciting. I thought the tanking ones, I mean, I don't really play a tank, so perhaps I'm missing out on what's interesting about those. They seem cool, but very, very niche, I would say. Very niche. Though the cheat death thing was pretty cool, just again to remove tank death as a concern. I think the healing ones are awesome, especially this one. Giving damage reduction and shielding to every healing spec is phenomenal. And then I think the DPS ones are cool, giving execute to everybody, then just giving boost everyone else's major essence, or boost everyone else's essence damage for a burst window on a short cooldown, and reducing the cooldown of your major essence. And also bearing in mind, if you have the major, you're gonna have the minor too. So it's gonna be shorter than 1 minute cooldown, almost inevitably. Or this one, which you can choose different essences based off what your teammates have, and have them at a slightly longer cooldown, but have different ones for different situations, which could have some niche use, though I'm somewhat skeptical. Without getting a buff. That one's probably the least interesting. These two are very cool, though. I like them. And there you go, guys. That's new essences. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.